This episode of Stand and Speak has been brought to you by Sinrock Boat and RV Storage at 622 Kintner Parkway in Sunbury, Ohio. Sinrock Boat and RV Storage offers 12 heated indoor bays with individual keypad entry, 70 outdoor storage spaces, 24/7 surveillance, fenced-in property with keypad entry, concrete flooring, great indoor-outdoor lighting, and backup gas power generation. We offer 6 to 12-month leases and offer a month free with a 1-year lease. Sunbury Police and Delaware County Sheriffs have access to the facility 24/7 to offer you additional peace of mind. Please visit us at sinrockboatandrvstorage.com. That's CINROC boatandrvstorage.com. Visit our website, fill out a form, or come see us at 622 Kintner Parkway in Sunbury. Hello, everyone. This is Lad Dilgard with another episode of Stand and Speak from BW Strategy Pack. I hope everybody's had a great weekend as we're starting to get warm, nice spring weather. I know I was out on the baseball and softball fields all weekend. We ate outside today, did a lot of yard work. I'm super worn down and sunburned, but man, I love it. I love every minute of it. So hope everybody had a great weekend and hope you have a good week coming up here ahead. So tonight I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Harlem Township Westerville proposed merger. This came out of nowhere in February. It was announced that Harlem Township, which is a rural township of about 4,800 residents, which doesn't share any borders with the city of Westerville, which is about 39,000 people, and that they were looking into a merger, and no one really saw this coming outside of some trustees and Westerville city council members. The Harlem Township residents reacted as you might expect when they see their rights and going away and their taxes being raised and they're being gaslighted and lied to. They were furious, and they showed up at Harlem Township meetings, and there was a report of a car being keyed and threats, and they went ballistic. One Harlem Township trustee, Matt Jager, resigned. He quit after trying to, sell the residents that this is really a good idea for them. So Harlem Township, largely rural, would end up as 66% of the total land mass of Westerville and Harlem put together. They would only have 1 out of 10 votes on city council. Right now, they have a handful of zoning regulations in Harlem Township, and whereas Westerville has many, I think 20 or more, that go back decades. So in other words, building things or investing in things would get a lot more complicated if you're in Harlem Township. Now, what I thought was very interesting, so the Harlem Township trustees voted Wednesday, this past 2 weeks ago, to discontinue discussions related to the merger, citing abuse that the board received from residents on something trustees said wasn't a done deal. Now, I think what's interesting here is that one Harlem Township trustee, Carl Richardson, was caught by a whistleblower meeting with 5 city council members at a restaurant, Coblé, in Westerville, prior to all these discussions going on. And this whistleblower, this was written up in the Columbus Dispatch and other places, this whistleblower confronted the city council members, confronted them all and said, you are violating sunshine laws by meeting like this. It's illegal for these council members to meet on these things offline or without any kind of documentation present, or however it works. So when this was announced, Carl Richardson participated in what we like to call gaslighting. He said that the proposed merger would allow Harlem Township to preserve the community's rural quality of life which Richardson, a Harlem Township trustee, said is at risk given growing pressure for development. Richardson said a merger would alleviate threat of annexation and is necessary to give residents more power to control future growth. So I've asked several elected officials in this area, pretty high level officials, and said, what is Richardson talking about? Richardson went on to say that Harlem would have more tools at its disposal to prevent development and growth, like warehouses and so on, than it as it merged with the city than it otherwise would have with the township. Townships have their own rules. This township has zoning rules and regulations that go way back. And I asked people, what did that mean? That doesn't sound right. They have their own tools. And these elected officials said, I have no idea what he's talking about. Like, I don't get it. So this is what infuriated the residents of Harlem Township. So one particular elected official went through pros and cons for Westerville and for Harlem Township. And I got to tell you, this elected official and several others were shocked at the announcement in February. It came out of nowhere. And of course, just this month in April, it was shelved. The benefits to Westerville is an increased tax base at 2%, $4.5 million for 4,800 residents. They have 40 different zoning codes while Harlem has 6. And Westerville says you're going to adopt our zoning codes after 10 years. Harlem does what they want for 10 years. Westerville's acting like they're being nice. The cons for Westerville are increased services for police, fire, and EMS. And there would be a lot of work to renegotiate collective bargaining agreements with police and fire. Now, the cons for Harlem Township, you're going to pay 2% in income tax all of a sudden out of nowhere. Are you going to get more for your 2%? I doubt it. I really do. Westerville is not the worst city on the face of the earth, but they have a 7-2 Democrat majority on the city council. They have one of the most woke school boards that you have ever watched. If you want some entertainment and some woke entertainment, tune in to the Westerville City Schools school board meetings, and you will see what angry, feminist, woke, elected officials look like in action, because it is something else. Now, the school district would stay the same. Harlem Township would stay in Big Walnut, and for now, but who knows what would happen later on. Harlem Township would cede control. Harlem wouldn't exist. There would be no clerk, no nothing. Everything would be controlled by Westerville. They'd have one rep on a 9-person city council. And all this would happen on day one. Several elected officials in the area called this one of the biggest bait and switch and gaslighting situations for local governance that they have ever seen. And they tossed around, Carl Richardson and others tossed around fear that they might get annexed by the city of Columbus, but Columbus doesn't want to annex into Delaware County anymore. New Albany can't annex further because of utility agreements. 98% of their utilities go to the city of Columbus. And then Columbus, for their part, has said after Intel, we're not doing any more investing in mergers, annexation reviews, or anything like that. So the bottom line here is, and this is what it comes down to. The city of Columbus has screwed things up. It's dangerous down there. Taxes are high. Companies are fleeing. Schools are terrible. The management's terrible. They're the classic woke leftist governance that you see in cities all across the United States. Cleveland, Toledo, Detroit, Chicago. So Columbus has screwed it up. People have fled Columbus into places like Westerville over the last several decades. And those people have taken some of their politics with them. So now Westerville has some nice parks, has some nice paths, And it also has high taxes and an aggressive tax collecting apparatus in the city of Westerville. And Westerville is starting to, get a little edgy down there. Some crime on the south end of Westerville. It's a little sketch. And if you are living in Harlem Township or Genoa or Galena or any of the other areas, ruralish areas in Delaware County, you moved there on purpose so as you would not be part of Westerville. Westerville kept masks on their kids in school longer than just about anybody else, except for the city of Delaware and the city of Columbus. Their schools aren't that good. And you can walk through them and tell me I'm wrong, because I've been through them dozens and dozens of times. And they're looking for money. They're looking for revenue. They want to keep growing. That's what the communist agenda does. It's what the virus does. It populates, it screws things up, it tries to collectivize, it raises taxes, spends other people's money, and then it expands and it looks hungrily for other people's money. Where can we get additional revenue? So this is Columbus going to Westerville, going to rural Delaware County, and they're going to keep trying to push their way up. Now, I understand from some of the elected officials I talked to that Genoa Township has their zoning laws intact. They've been around for 40 years, and there's not anything that could happen in terms of annexation or anything like this, whereas Harlem Township didn't have that layer of protection. So what's happened now is the Strategic Planning Council, which was made up by a couple leftists that we know around here, and Carl Richardson, who, I don't know what his agenda is, but from this, we don't like it. And I don't remember anyone running on for township trustee, Matt Jager or anybody else, saying, hey, you know what we want to do here in Harlem Township? Vote for me. I'm going to merge with Westerville. How's that sound for an idea? Because they would lose 90-10. So what they did was they got elected, and then they did exactly what the people horribly didn't want. They didn't want anything to do with that. But they tried to sneak it in, and then they tried to gaslight. Then they tried to go around the backs of people in Westerville and Harlem Township, the Sunshine Law violations at Cobley, things like that. So this is standard leftist communist behavior 101. And this kind of thing is going on all over the place in the United States. And you have to be on the lookout for it. If you live in an area that's well kept, well managed, low taxes, low costs, low crime, good police, like we do here in Delaware County, people screw their area up, turn it into, a cesspool. Not that Westerville's a cesspool, but there are other cesspools out there like Columbus. And then they come for your stuff. And then they try to bring their politics, what screwed it up in the first place, into your area. Happens all the time. And we moved to this area in Delaware County for a reason. And it was safe streets, good roads, responsive, very responsive police and government officials, good school district here in the Big Walnut School District. That's why we moved here. That's why about everybody moved here unless they were native born. And we don't really want this place turning into North Westerville. If we wanted to live in Westerville, we would have moved to Westerville or New Albany or Hilliard or someplace like that. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts, and I hope everybody has a fantastic week. I appreciate you listening so much, and we will see you next week. This has been Lad Dilgard with Stand and Speak.